The Lunaverse, Season 2, Episode 3, Rainbow Double Dashes, Magic Tutor, Chapter 4, Fire! Within a second, Trixie, galloping as fast as her host could take her, was out of her living room and in her main hallway. Half a second after that, she was in her kitchen. She took several more seconds for her to negotiate the unfortunately steep stairs that led down to her basement. She was nevertheless staring before Lula and Firelock, eyes wide, horn glowing bright, trying to remember if the lone shield spell she knew was fireproof. She found Lula with a first aid kit held in her mouth, staring at her with wide eyes at the speed at which she had barreled down the stairs. Firelock, meanwhile, was sitting in front of a crate of fireworks. Instructions and warning manual that had come with it in her hose ring everything contained therein by a horn light that would occasionally lose a tiny spark that Trixie desperately hoped was just spare magic, not an actual ember. She was not covered by the fact firelight seemed to be trembling slightly. Hi, girls, Trixie breathed, trying forward carefully, making sure to keep one eye on Firelock as she did. Thanks for getting the first aid kit. Why did you take it upstairs? Firelock! Blitz's Big Bang Zoomers? Firelock exclaimed suddenly, jumping into the air, looking at Trixie. You're going to have Blitz's Big Bang Bombastic Boomers at your show? Yeah, and the crazy, curly, colorful cocktails of Connecticut, too. Trixie thought to what she had ordered, looking at the crate. It was closed securely, though the wood was a little too thin for her liking. Yes, she said. Firelock, luckily, well, you have full flames, Philos fuses. How do you even know the word Philoxian? Because I love fireworks! Firelock exclaimed, throwing herself at the crane and bracing it tightly. A horn let out another few multicolored sparks as she did. In another moment, she was on top of the crate, hopping back and forth from one corner to the next. They're all pew! Zoom! And then bang! Whoa! Her last step missed a step as he slipped from the box. Trixie caught her tail diagonally before she could be injured. Firelock barely missed a beat, however. Letting out a squeal as he squirmed excitedly, Trixie's telekinetic grabbed. I can't wait for the gathering, she proclaimed, as Trixie stared back down. Can we still have a few fireworks? No, Trixie began, though she saw Firelock was looking down with wide eyes, flopped ears, and hooves pushed together. The puppy dog stare, almost as good as Dinky's. Trixie shut her eyes quickly against their greatest sweetness, but memory of the eyes still remained. No! Trixie rallied against herself. I have to be strong. This is exactly what Raindrops was warning against. It was not so sad. I can stand up to this foe. Trixie opened her eyes, looked at the firelock, and realized there was no way she was going to be able to stand up to this foe. Mud. Well, maybe I can mitigate the damage. How about, Trixie ventured, I teach you a spell to create illusionary fireworks. The change was profound. Firelock's eyes grew even wider. Her ears went perk. Her mouth split into a massive toothy grin. Her whole body quivered with excitement. Yes, she exclaimed, beginning to leap from front to hind hooves, buck like a bronco. Trixie, meanwhile, let out a slight sigh of relief as he telekinetically picked up Firelock and brought the excited filly upstairs, Alula following. Okay. Trixie sat with a semicircle of folds in front of her again, each staring expectantly. Say, Dinky, who was sitting beside Trixie as her teacher's assistant. Trixie raised a hoof. I've decided that the first spell I'm going to teach you, she said, is how to create illusionary fireworks. Yes! Firelock exclaimed again, hopping in place and letting a horn loose a few sparks. The other foals talked amongst each other at that as well, already discussing how to apply to use the fireworks. Trixie made a note to warn Rarity about Sweetie's plan in particular, then raised a hoof. I should warn you, Trixie said, that it's not a hard spell, but not exactly easy. There's a good chance you might not be able to do it by the end of the day, but I will show you it should be enough to allow you to keep practicing. She smiled. Best of all, it's basically just a glorified version of making your horn glow. So I'm pretty sure it's something any unicorn can do, regardless of special talent. You pretty sure? Tissy Flute asked out. Tilted aside. You don't know? Trixie paused for a moment. No, she admitted. But what if we can't do it at all? How will you know it's just because we need to practice more, or because we can never make fireworks? I wanted to learn a pottery spell. Alua ventured softly. Trixie winced a little. Alua, she said, I don't know any pottery spells. Luna says to look Trixie quickly at, but I could probably help you refine your telekinesis. That would help with pottery, right? Luna brightened, nodding, looking satisfied with that. Now, however, Firelock stepped forward. Wait! She cried. Does this mean I won't get to learn how to make fireworks? Trixie blinked. No, we'll still do that. She insisted. Just maybe Alula can see this out. Then, after I've shown you all my fireworks spell, I can help Alula. But what about me? Snails asked. He shifted awkwardly from one hook to the next. The whole reason for doing this was supposed to help me with my underchanneling. Well, thinking interjected Trixie's defense. But if you can, you need to use your magic more often. Learning how to make fireworks should be fine for that. But Miss Trixie's teaching Lula something special. She's not really. Lula ventured, tapping her cigar. It's just helping me with my telekinesis. That Lula's learning something special, so is Firelock, Tutti accepted. Well, if we can't make fireworks, I'll be able to make fireworks. Firelock detected proudly. Maybe, but what about the rest of us? Sleepbell asked, looking at her like, my special talent's gonna be able to set stuff on fire. Well, you don't have to worry about that, Trixie said quickly. The spell was going to be a glamour, an illusion, remember? No real fire or heat, just like the noise. There was a moment of silence. Then Firelight stepped forward again. So what is the point? She demanded. Trixie blinked. You can use this safely indoors. Firelight looked down at that, then sighed, trying back to the semicircle. That's cool, I guess. Trixie began to object, but remembered she was dealing with a foe, and one who was possibly pyromaniacal at that. She pushed aside her pride and illusioncraft. Okay, she said. How about this? I'll try to teach you someone's spell you might want to learn, if I can. In the meantime, she looked down at Dinky. Dinky, I've shown you how to do a lot of the basic tricks over the past few months. You, as my teacher's assistant, can try to show every pony I'm not currently working with how to do them. Okay. Dinky nodded, and Trixie did as well. There, rest is averted. Now, Firelock, Trixie said. The foal eagerly perked up. Trixie held up her hooves. Snails raised a good point about the big reason every pony here is today, after all. I did promise to help him with his problem. So, I'll spend some time with him first, and then you, since I said we'll do fireworks. And I'll randomly select every pony else's in order. Does that sound fair? Firelock looked at Snails in jealousy, but sighed again. Okay, she moaned. That's fair, I guess. Okay. Trixie said, as Snails trotted over to her. Everybody, listen to Dinky. Dinky, you're in charge. Don't go mad with power the way I would, okay? Dinky nodded. Grinning at Trixie's jab at herself was, at the same time, a gentle reminder of Dinky's minor spat with Tootsie a few days ago. Dinky was a smart foal, and, whatever bad habits Trixie had that may have been rubbing off on her, she was fundamentally a good pony. After the accident with the golf ball, Trixie was certain that Dinky would be on her best behavior and wouldn't get herself into another fight. Trixie looked at Snails. Okay, come on. We'll go to the backyard for some space, she said. Snails followed. Any thoughts on what you want to learn? Snails thought as the two tried. It'd be neat if I knew how to make my animal friends bigger. Trixie saw a newspaper headline in her mind's eye. Foal makes 100-foot tall spider. Names are super fluffy. In a related article, Pineville representative missing. Pursued Ian or exiled. I don't know how to make animals bigger, Trixie said, which fortunately enough was the truth. How about something else? Dinky watched Trixie go, then looked back to the other foals, in particular Tootsie. She wrapped her hooves together for a few moments, then let out a sigh and held out a forehoof. Tootsie, I'm sorry if I was you over the golf ball, she said. Tootsie Foot, much to Dinky's relief, didn't waste any time tapping her own hoof to Dinky's. It's okay, she said. I was being at least as bad. I'm sorry too, friends. Dinky nodded, then stood up straight and put her on best smile and held up a hoof. Nothing, she said. What kind of spell would you like to learn? I can make really bright flashes from my horn, or drop my voice, or muffle sounds, or maybe do lights. You could do fireworks? Firelock asked. Dinky considered. Not really, she admitted. Looking up her horn, running some magic through it, she was able to make a few sparks leap from it, but nothing more than any foal. Even snails and Sweetie were capable of.
Thanks. Miss Trixie will be showing you that firelock.
Firelight nodded, looking up her own horn, channeling magic through it. She was able to set off notably more sparks than Dinky. I think I'll just practice this, she said. Miss Trixie could show me more. You guys can do your own thing. I'll be listening, though.
Okay.
Dinky intoned, gazing at a firework. Miss Trixie was already going to show her all about fireworks, so why wasn't she taking the opportunity to learn more? After a few moments, though, Dinky looked at her rainbows.
What else?
She asked, considering how the minor cantress she knew how to cast. The origin of them does being variations on how to make her horn glow.
I can be using lights. You want me to show you those?
I could do those, Susie said, closing her eyes and setting her horn alight. Two smells of light sprung into existence around her horn, began to orbit around her body. After a few moments, she opened her eyes again, smiling brightly. Well, I can't, Sweetie nodded. Sister Lula echoed her own lack of ability. Dinky nodded, looking at Tootsie.
I don't really mean how Sweetie sniffs in a lula.
Tootsie nodded, looked to the other three unicorns. Okay, first, she said, you have to get out magic at your thoma, just like when you're knotting up your horn. The trick is, putting the magic out of your thoma, you need to...
Wait, what?
Dinky asked. What's a thoma? Well, according to Google, it's a miracle, or something wondrous and magical. Sweet grinned, holding up a hoof.
The part of the unicorn's horn that controls the magic,
She exclaimed. Well, you are a dictionary, Sniff declared. Sweet started to defend herself, but Dinky spoke first.
I never heard of it.
Tootsie blinked at her. Really? She asked. I haven't either, Snips ventured. I have, Alua said, looking at her horn poking a few times. I used to go to the doctor's every few months to make sure that my thalamus was developing okay. I didn't really do any unicorn magic when I was a baby, so the doctors thought I only had a vegetable horn.
It's diesel,
Flea corrected. Dinky looked up her own horn. She could only see the tip really, of course, but she always thought it was just, well, a horn. She never really considered that there was more to it than just bone and thin layer of fuzz to control it.
It controls my music?
She asked, poking the base of her horn. Well, part of it. There's the thala, the alevo.
The clean difference to the unicorn center.
Sleep provided cornucosum.
That's also the piece of the horn.
Sleep Bell exclaimed. I didn't know about those. A little put in, eyes wide and glancing at her own horn. Dinky's eyes widened. Who's at the base of her horn, filling around her head now? Sis was doing likewise.
What's supposed to base my horn?
She asked, her mind suddenly filled the image of being able to wiggle her horn around as easily as she could swivel her ears. She closed her eyes and tried really, really hard to make the muscles that she never knew she had move, but nothing happened. Tootsie giggled. They basically squeezed the sama and controlled how much magic you're letting out, she said. They don't do anything unless you're doing magic. Didn't Miss Trixie tell you stuff? Dinky shook her head as she opened her eyes.
Miss Trixie just shows me magic,
She said, setting her horn to glow again, and caught her a dancing light, making a float between her two outstretched hooves.
She says that's the picture what you want, the magic coming from your horn. It always feels different for each spell. Like the dancing light feels to me like I'm blowing a bubble, I guess.
Tootsie stared at Dinky. Huh, she asked. But then how do you know how to shape whatever magic you want to do? Dinky shrugged.
Yes, that's why I'm always driving things so hard.
She admitted. Then looked at Sweetie, sniffs in the lower.
Yeah, Miss Trixie didn't tell me all about that stuff. He just kinda told me what to do.
She yelled forward, dancing like,
Yes, just put magic to your horn and making yourself making a dancing light.
the three began to try, but Tootsie shook her head. But you need to know what you're doing, she insisted. You're pushing the magic from the thumb through your level. The glow around your horn is just light. It's your actual magic from your level. You need to take that magic and shape it. That's where the conservative
Corn, you muscular.
Slee corrected, even as she concentrated on her own horn. Dictionary, Sniff said, automatically, equally focused. Get involved, Tootsie first. Dinky frowned, making another dancing line in front of her, then a third. She didn't really feel anything happening in her horn, just beyond a normal twinkle. It certainly didn't feel like there were muscles flexing or a thumb was being squeezed or whatever Tutti was saying.
I think you're making things too complicated.
She said, "No, I'm not," Tutti attested. "It's really important."
Then how come I'm not as good at magic as you?
"Hey," Firelight interjected. She stared at her horn kept trying her sparks. "So I just imagined that there's a bag or whatever at the base of my horn, and I'm squeezing fireworks out." "No, your muscles are squeezing your thumb out," Tutti insisted.
No, you just imagine yourself making fireworks.
Dinky said at the same time. Tutti wicker annoyed, stamping a hoof. "Well, that's just your imagination," she insisted. "Plus, I even forgotten how you have to make sure that you're using the right kind of magic."
It's only dancing lights. It doesn't even matter.
Dinky insisted, wickering herself. Then slipping up close to Tootsie. The other unicorn did back away as their horns and muscles were practically touching.
I didn't need to know what all parts of my legs are called to walk. You're making things too complicated.
"No, I'm not," Tootsie insisted. "This is really important to know." "Hey!" Snizzle screamed. "I'm doing it!"
Me too.
Slee had. Dinky and Tootsie turned to look and saw that, indeed, the other two unicorn foals had both managed to create simple, faint glowing arms. Arms with tips of skate and lime green sleeves. They hovered in front of their faces. Sweet managed to get hers to move through the air first, but Snips wasn't far behind. And Tootsie and Dinky watched. A little managed to create a purple orb as well. Her legs flying in excitement as she quickly caught up to her companions and maintaining it, making it move. Tootsie and Dinky glanced at one another, before the latter finally began to question what they were both wondering.
So, who's he listening to?
Sweet Snips and Lil looked between each other for a moment, then back at Dinky. Firework, actually," Snips said, as he brought his dancing light around in front of him, tried grabbing it with his hooves. It was just a ball of light, though, completely danceable. Sweet and Lil nodded in agreement with Snips.
What he said about squeezing a bag at the base of your horn. So he said, I just did that and look.
So he held her hook forward, dancing light operating around the end of it.
It worked.
My first real spell, Lil nodded happily. Light still flared. She closed her eyes and concentrated harder, and made a second dancing light for her horn for a little more effort. The two proceeded to orbit the tip of her horn like a halo. Then, when she opened her eyes and saw the bow, she laughed with delight. "Mama's gonna be so happy!" Dinky and Tootsie blinked. They turned to look at Firelock, still focusing on her own horn, then each other. "I guess," Tootsie ventured, "there's more than one way to do it?"
Oh, yes.
Dinky said, looking down. She almost got into another fight with Tootsie, and only a few minutes after apologizing for the first one.
I'm sorry.
"Me too," Tootsie said, as the other three unicorns canceled their dancing lights, all looking tired from exertion, but happy at having to learn a new spell. Tootsie stood up straight. "No more fighting with each other, okay?"
Okay.
Dinky agreed, stopping a hoof, feeling determined to make sure it didn't happen again. She looked to the other three foals.
Okay. So that's dancing lights. These practicing is getting easier and easier. Now, who wants to learn?
"Got it!" Firelock exclaimed suddenly, making the other five foals jump and look at her. Firelock was standing as though she was ready to pounce, looking at her horn. It was shooting out multicolored sparks, mostly red and green, but there were plenty of other colors mixed in. As the foals watched, he managed to create sparks in thin air, a few inches above her horn, and another one a few inches above that. Small crackling sounds and puffs came and went with each little burst. "Well!" Sniz exclaimed, trying forward. "You learned how to do that all by yourself?"
It's got light and sound.
Dinky said.
That's really cool. Your name is Trixie normally has to cast two different spells to make illusions for sight and sound both. Uh-oh.
Dinky's train of thought was interrupted when she saw a few of the sparks touch down on Miss Trixie's nearby couch. Most of the sparks were flared out wisps of magic, but a few made it all the way down to still glowing with magic, and evidently heat, as one spark left behind a smudge of black. Cautiously, Dinky came forward, next to Firelock, and extended a hoof towards the sparks going out from her horn.
Woo!
She exclaimed, as he recoiled when one of the sparks landed in her fetlock. It hadn't hurt all that much, but it hurt a lot more than it was supposed to, if it was only an illusion. She backed away from Firelock in fright.
Firelock, those are illusions. Those are...
"Real fireworks!" Firelock finished for Dinky, grin somehow growing wilder. and now it's growing wider. I can make real fireworks. I've always wanted to. Ever since I went to Huffington and saw what's flying bombastic boomers. Now maybe I can open my own fireworks store at Pudding Hill. Firelights fantastic and fabulous flaming fireworks funhouse! Dinky started to try to bring Firelock back into focus. But Snizzle used gas at first, finding Firelock's signs to call appeared there. You're a flake! Firelock froze and slowly turned her head to look at the fire flank. This is the closest it had been there sighted, revealing a trio of bursting fireworks. Two green, one red. Firelock's eyes grew wider still. My cutie mark! She exclaimed. I'll be from one hoof to a hoof again, horn glowing brightly, setting off more fireworks. Starting with the loudest, brightest one yet. I got my cutie mark! I got my cutie mark! I got my cutie! Make legs longer? Niels asked, and she and Trixie stood outside in her backyard. Your legs are pretty long already, Trixie nodded. I meant Bark's legs, Trixie sighed. I don't know how to do that, she said. So you've been saying this much more often since you was comfortable with over the past few minutes. And snails, look, she held up a hoof. I'll be honest with you. My special talent is magic, basically, but I don't really know all that many spells. Most of what I do know are illusions. They can't make any real senses. I practice them all the time, so I'm really good at making illusions do whatever I want. So demonstrated this by turning around, horn glowing, creating an illusion of colorful fists swimming through the air. So he reached out and ran a hoof through that, demonstrating that they were mere figments. I could do the same stuff with sound, but outside of that, Trixie shrugged. I'm sorry, I don't really know much. Snails looked down. Oh, he said dejectedly. Trixie winced. She promised to show Snails all kinds of amazing magical feats. Right now, it seemed like she was capable of showing him anything he actually wanted to learn. It wasn't a good feeling. Maybe think of other things than bugs, Trixie ventured, looking down at her host. She considered the non-glamour spells she did know. I know how to make a few simple seals, how to make small bolts of lightning. I can help you with your telekinesis, the way I'm going to tell Alua. There's my memorizing spell, or I can show you a few glamours. Or, hey, wait, Seal said, perking up. Memorizing spell? Trixie blinked a smile. Yeah, she said. You use it to perfectly remember anything you're looking at. But about today, it's like taking a picture and keeping it in your head, though you only have one at a time. Snails considered that for several long moments, then smiled. That'd be fun, he said. I could take a picture of all my animal friends at home and carry me around all day long. Or you could use it with the help of the homework or tests, Trixie said, pointing out slightly. Then she steals from an elbow. Snails frowned as he considered for a moment or two. That sounds like cheating, though, he observed. I don't want to cheat. You were the one help me with my grades. Trixie sighed. Oh, Chili would approve of that, at least. Is there a way I could share the picture? Snails asked. Like, take what's in my head, or just something else? Trixie considered the spell seemed to do exactly that, which functioned by forming a physical conduit from the caster's brain to the recipients by the most magical direct route. The mouse that tugs to the caster receiver. In other words, it required the caster to kiss his or her target with tongue. No, Trixie lied. For once, a confident that a lie was told was both completely justified and had no way of coming back to bite her in the flank. Sorry. Oh, okay, Snails to a sigh. Trixie let out a sigh of her own. That Snails was focusing on learning a spell that would, at the very least, get her in trouble with, in order whom she feared the reprisals of, Raindrops, Luna, Snails' parents, and the law. Well, the picture spell sounds really cool anyway. Teach me that. Trixie nodded, taking off her hat, setting off the ground in front of him. Okay, now focus on the hat, she said. At the same time, I want you to imagine your magic. What's my magic look like? Snails asked. Well, to me, your magic looks like a green girl tapestry, Trixie answered. But that might not be what you imagine it like. Nikki, for example, imagines magic as kind of sensations, I guess. Like when I saw her dancing lights. She said it was easiest to see her imagine she was blowing bubbles, but from her horn. As he was learning the spells, he probably imagined it being like water floating from her horn to her eyes, or something. Snails paused. We're not staying? He asked. Probably. I just imagine magic as colors. This spell I imagine is kind of like a bright light, like a camera ball's flash. Snails considered a few moments more. That's not what Dinky imagines her magic like, he nodded. It's what she imagines her magic doing. What's her magic like? Trixie blinked. I don't know. She said, and realized Snails never had a point. Dinky never really defined what her magic imagined her own personal magic to be like. The way Trixie imagined her magic, like being a big ball of many colors inside of her, just wanting to pour out of her horn. She shook her head. We can imagine and ask her later. What do you imagine your magic to be like? Niels considered for several long minutes. Trixie gave him the time. This was a very personal question, after all. At length, he looked back to Trixie. Flavors, he answered. Flavors, Trixie asked. That's what I'm thinking of whenever I do manage to make my horn glow. Snail says he looked down at his horn. Every time I remember my mom's cooking. That's the first time I made my horn glow. It was at dinner, and we were having, I forget exactly what, but it involved hot peppers, and it was so hot that my horn glowed. He smiled. That's what Raindrop said anyway. Trixie nodded. Later seemed a little odd, but she could work with it. She pointed at her hat. Okay, so what do you imagine a memory spell to be flavored like? What's a really memorable flavor? Sour apples, Snails responded, puckering his lips at his own memory as though he had just been into one. Fair enough. So just focus on that flavor. Try wrap it around my hat. Make my hat taste like. Trixie was interrupted by a loud snap from her home, followed by a series of crackles. She whinnied in response, Snails as well, and she retreated to the other end of the backyard in fright, or stopping to look back at the house. What was that? Snails asked. That didn't seem anything like sour apples. It wasn't you. It came from inside. Trixie nodded. She looked at Snails. Stay here. I'll go figure out what's going on. Snails nodded. Trixie carried back to her home, stopping only long enough to grab her hand and set it back on her head, and try it to her home, making a beeline for her living room. She saw several flashes from inside and heard Firelock's voice. I got my key mark! I got my key mark! I got my... Trixie turned around the corner, looking into her living room. Most of the foals were in one corner, away from Firelock, who was prancing in place in the center of the room. The flight now indeed carrying a key mark consisting of a trio of exploding fireworks. Naturally created fireworks that were being set off from her horn every few moments. The sparks didn't seem to bother Firelock herself, but the burning smell in the air evidenced that fireworks were no mere glamours. Firelock! Trixie exclaimed. The foal jumped, turning to face Trixie, and accidentally lobbing a firework in Trixie's direction. The adult mare let out a yelp of surprise, throwing up her cape. The enchantments in it rendered it all but fireproof, and the fire off ricocheted off of it and towards her kitchen. Glancing, she saw the firework bounce off a metal pan hanging from the ragged ceiling, and then down, into her basement. Trixie stared for a quarter of a second, before dashing towards her kitchen, looking down the door that led to the basement. A red glow emanated from down there. There was a sound of sizzling. Oh, no, Trixie said. She turned, looking down the hallway at the foals, except for Firelock, who had their heads poking out the door to the living room. She never grabbed them and pulled them into the building in time. Even if she did, that many fireworks going off under the building. Trixie let out a cry of frustration. I swore I'd never do this again! She cried in futility as she looked down into her basement, taking the steps three at a time. At the bottom, she found a crate of fireworks that had a hole burned through it by Firelock's magic. It had probably only had a single fireworks fuse, but that would have lit more and more. Trixie had seconds. Crying out in frustration, she leapt forward, grabbed the crate, and closed her eyes, heart glowing bright as she thought of her backyard. Then remembered that Steels was still out there. Turning frustration again, she thought of her front yard. Well, just still to go there, and take the crate of fireworks with her. There was a nastier pop, and the briefest instant of nothing. With another blue pop, Trixie opened her eyes and found herself not in front of her yard, but on her roof. Send me to the sun! Trixie cursed as she dashed away from the crate of fireworks, but only made a few steps before the sound of sizzling abruptly stopped. Trixie was too familiar with the way her life progressed to be fooled. She threw herself to the thatched roof beneath her and covered herself with her cape. You people might want to put down your headsets for a few seconds. Fine! It wasn't the loudest sound that Trixie ever heard. It wasn't far off. Aside from the fire protection, Trixie's cape offered a degree of protection against damage as well. Not much, but probably saved her getting from more than a bunch of bruises as the crate of fireworks went off, scattering wood chips to pieces everywhere as the fireworks arched into the sky. For whatever reason, not every firework went off at the same time, instead creating an impromptu show as they, one after the other, sailed to the sky and exploded to broad daylight. Some of the fireworks, meanwhile, instead launched horizontally, streaking over a playing field to go off a few dozen feet from the ground. Unfortunately, the sparks released were too weak to start any fires, even on that surface that playing field favored. Lastly, one firework was pointed down, skidded along the roof before sailing down into the ground into the front yard and exploded. It felt like forever until silence returned, though Trixie knew that it had been, at most, only a few seconds. Cautiously peeking out from under her cape, and she saw that her roof was intact, in scorched places. Plainfield wasn't on fire. That was good. Trixie elected not even bother checking her office window. No. The unicorn faced a few more immediate problems. How to get down from her hoof, and what to do with Firelock once he was back inside. Getting into her home turned out to be easy, at least. Trixie had left the window open on the second floor, climbed in easily enough. She stopped across her upstairs, down to the stairs to the main floor, horn glowing a crystalline, angry blue. Once downstairs, she found all the folds together in the kitchen, looking down in the basement. Firelight didn't seem to be there, but Niels was. Trixie sat aside her anchor, or tried at least. For a few moments as she looked down at the folds. Is everybody okay? She asked. Everybody nodded slowly, but Trixie stared at Trixie like she was Corona returned. The after smell of smoke coming from her coat. Probably Sid's tail didn't help. She imagined, but Trixie also didn't hear. Where's Firelock?
No!
The little skate screamed. Trixie's gaze fell on her and pulled back away fright, but swallowed.
No, we won't tell you. You can't be mad at her. It wasn't.
Where's Firelock? The 5 remaining falls as one pointed down the hall, back to the living room. Selina shivered with fright. Trixie turned around, stamping back down the hall and whimpering in anger as she went. That was it. She's going to lay down some law. She's going to teach Firelock how to behave and hopefully break the foal's rather unhealthy love of fire. She was going to send every pony who wasn't supposed to be here home. She was going to... Trixie looked up into her living room. So Firelock exactly where she had been when she launched the firework at Trixie, staring at the door. Her eyes were wide, and her breath coming in short gaps as she trembled. At the sight of Trixie, tail flickering in anger, eyes narrowed, lips pulled back into a snarl. The foal let out a sharp whinny of fright, turning and retreating to a corner of the room before realizing she was trapped, turning back around, legs shaking.
I'm sorry,
she exclaimed as she huddled in the corner.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I was just so excited because I earned my cutie mark. Please don't be mad.
Trixie opened her mouth to exclaim she was so far past mad she couldn't even see it anymore, but stopped when she remembered what she was looking at. A little filly. Just earned her cutie mark, but had been excited. I hadn't meant to hurt any pony, even if she almost had. Trixie took a step into the living room. Firelight glanced, hunkering down more, tears streaming from her eyes as she put her hooves over her head, crying without any shame in a way that only foals could. She looked absolutely terrified, and the object of her terror was Trixie. Unicorn looked away for a moment, looking at anything other than Firelock. Her gaze settled on her couch, which had a few small burns from some of the earlier fireworks that Firelock had been setting off. Nothing major, nothing a minor cantrip couldn't repair. Her roof, too, was only thatched, easily, cheaply fixed. And her window, well, it had been a while. It was due for a repair anyway. Trixie took a deep breath, let it out slowly, looking back at Firelock. She said as softly as she could, trotting forward slightly and carefully. Calm down, kiddo. I'm not going to do anything, okay? Firelight didn't seem to believe her. Trixie had reached her now. In a moment, she thought she took off her cape and holding it before Firelock. fireproof, she declared. I'm fine. All I need is a bath to wash out the smell of smoke. The foal didn't seem to really hear Trixie. The older unicorn got out of sight, putting on her cape as she sat down beside the foal, pressing her barrel against Firelock's home. She looked her over, noticing the key mark again. So, fireworks, Trixie said. That's a good talent. Firelock looked at Trixie, then burst out a fresh round of tears. She buried her face in Trixie's shoulder and neck, though. Trixie took that as basically a good sign. She used her hoof to pat Firelock in the back. Just be more careful, okay? She asked. I try! Firelock exclaimed. I always do this. This is just like when the town hall basement flooded. And, and I tried to start a fire to fix it. Trixie interrupted. What? Firelock sniffed, looking at Trixie. Because you use water to put out fires, she exclaimed. So I thought you could use fire to get rid of water if you had enough. Trixie nodded for a moment before what Firelock had said here. She chuckled a little. Firelock giggled too. Remembering what had just happened was a little too close for Trixie or Firelock to move much beyond that, but it seemed to help the small foal at least. After a few moments, Trixie gave Firelock a friendly nuzzle. Once the foal returned. Do you know Red Splash here? Trixie asked. Then you Ponyville's name for Fire Chief. Firelock Foots looked down. Doesn't like me very much, she said. Didn't take its genius to realize why. But Trixie did say that. You know a lot about fire, Trixie said instead. But I think you need to learn a little about fire safety, especially with a key mark like that. Firelock looked like she wanted to attack, but thought better of it and nodded. Red Splasher doesn't like me very much. I think he'll like you just fine. Red Splasher likes putting out fires, after all. You'll give him plenty of opportunities. Firelock was still for a few moments, but then nodded. Trixie stood, helping Firelock to her own hooves, and leading her from the living room back to the kitchen. The other foals had their breaths held as the two tried it in. Trixie nodded to them as she got a cloth and helped Firelock with drying her eyes. She took a few moments to look at each of the foals. She hadn't even taught him a single spell yet. If any pony wants to go home, Trixie said, closing her eyes and letting out alongside. You should know. I don't think I'm doing a very good job at this. I think I'm in over my head, trying to keep an eye on all seven of you. You haven't even learned anything.
That's not true,
Sweetie Bella objected. So before letting her horn glow. After a moment, a small ball of lime green light appeared in front of her horn. It began to orbit around her body as she swung her head. Snips of the love both created dancing lights of their own.
See? Dinky showed us.
Trixie blinked a few times. Dinky.
Uh-huh.
But I still haven't learned anything. Snails objected. Look between the various dancing lights and the other three unicorns made. That's the Firelock. Firelock got her cutie mark and make fireworks. You three can make lights. Ditsy and Dinky are almost as good as you, Trixie. That wasn't true. But for foals, they were still very good. Still, Trixie grimaced as she looked down at her hooves. Great. Dinky was a better teacher than her. She looked at Snails. Okay, she said. I need to focus on Snails. But for the rest of you, I think I need some help. Somebody can keep an eye on you all, and, well, I can't do both, so I need help. She set the hook to her mouth and thought. Lyra, her first choice, was out of town doing a concert. Trixie didn't know Rarity, Sweetie's older sister, very well. But she did know enough she probably wouldn't appreciate being dropped in unannounced with a half-dozen foals. Certainly Trixie wouldn't appreciate it. She wasn't sure if any of their foals had free parents or older siblings who were free. At least no unicorn ones. And she was going to pretend that she was still trying to teach these foals magic. She knew that another unicorn who had the free time, preferably knew a fair amount of magic, a big home with lots of space. Trixie realized she knew a unicorn like that. Trixie got out alongside. Okay, follow me, she said, standing. We're going on a field trip.
Where to?
Trixie asked. You'll see, Trixie said, as she led a small herd out the door. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted the scorched grass from when the firework had went off in her yard. Once, stopping. But, first, Dinky, you've been over my place often enough. How much do you think the windows go right me this time?
Mm-hmm.
Dinky asked. Trixie started. turning and looking at her office window. The firework had gone off maybe 10 feet from her house, sounding explosive and low, so at least granted. Yet, the window, against all odds, in defiance of a curse that was at least 8 months old so far, was intact. Ha! Trixie exclaimed happily. Pressing in place a few times against the firelock. You're okay, kiddo! Billy must have been happier. She could try off, the falls falling. Most of the effects of Trixie with looks of confusion. Firelock included. But Dickie only giggled. It was probably only the best as he was out of sight and residency, when a rogue baseball from a too eager foal came crashing through the window, leaving a fairly neat, baseball-shaped hole in its surface. Wah, wah, wah. P.S. Craig, I do the wah-wah better. Twilight Sparkle had only been back at work for a few moments since Applejack left when the library door opened again. Laying a slight sigh, she tried down the steps for the upper floor again, looking at her front door. She wasn't very surprised to see Trixie, though she was somewhat surprised to see the somewhat haggard appearance and faint smell of smoke Trixie was sporting. What really surprised Twilight, however, was the small herd of foes surrounding Trixie. You see them glancing around the library in piles of books in confusion. Hi, Sparkle, Trixie said. I need some help.